Welcome to Reader Seeks Romance Channel's Romance Roundup, the #1 romance book recs talk show. I am Liz Donatelli.
And I'm Libby K, author of the sweet romance series Buckeye Falls.
Libby and I are talking about adventure romance. What is it? Because I have questions. And we're sharing the adventure romance books on our TBRs. Also, we're chatting with author Kerry Rea about her upcoming adventure rom-com, The Jewel of the Isle. Watch Romance Roundup on Reader Seeks Romance Channel and subscribe on YouTube. Listen to Romance Roundup on PodBean and all podcast apps. Viewers and listeners can email us at readerseeksromance@yahoo.com and follow us on Instagram at LibbyKAuthor and at ReaderSeeksRomance. Hello, Libby.
Hey, Liz.
What does adventure romance mean to you?
Ooh, you actually beat me to this because when I was making my list and doing my searching, I thought, I wonder what Liz thinks. To me, I feel like part of the story element has to have a bit of, and this is again, Libby's opinion, whimsy and a goal, a shared goal that is abnormal, is what I'm going to say. I don't think of this as just fast paced and there's a common goal. I feel like it is fast paced. There's an element of danger. What they're working on is exciting, or there might be an element of mystery. That's what I think of with adventure romance. In terms of the list I made, I went with what Goodreads said was adventure romance.
There's a lot of discrepancies between what I believe adventure romance to be and what it is, which books are categorized as adventure romance on Amazon, on Goodreads, from publishers. My take is that adventure romance looks like Joe Segura's Raiders of the Lost Heart, and movies, The Lost City with Sandra Bullock and Channing Tatum, and Romancing the Stone and Jewel of the Nile movies with Kathleen Turner and Michael Douglas. So to me, it's two very attractive people, mutually attracted to each other, become unintentionally embroiled in a dangerous mission or a task or running from bad people set in a tropical island locale.
Oh, so you're even going so far as to say it's tropical.
Yes, because I'm going by what I've seen, but then I'm like, well, that's a very specific view. And it seems like it also extends to spy romance. I've noticed that some spy related romances are categorized as action and adventure romance. So, but I've been seeing all sorts of things being categorized as adventure that I think would be either just plain paranormal or romantic suspense. That's the other thing. Like, romantic suspense, shouldn't adventure romance be folded into romantic suspense, or am I missing the big differences?
No. Okay. I personally think these are basically romantic suspense with a twist. I think there is just something else to the story that just makes it a little bit different than, quote unquote, the bad guys are after them. They're maybe looking for something while the bad guys are after them. I could see spy stuff depending on the context being considered just straight up action adventure. But I do think, and obviously we will ask in our next segment with Kerry Rea, I think there has to be some element of danger or a chase or a mystery. I think it has to just be more than like bad guy with a gun is following us and we happen to be banging along the way.
Right. I feel like it's very nuanced.
Yes.
To the point where it makes my mind hurt and I don't even want to talk about it as a category. I don't know. I have a thing about calling it adventure romance. The other thing is I've also seen it romance adventure. What does that mean?
Yes.
I mean, it's,
and honestly, I think this has only really popped up in the last couple of years. Like I as in this subgenre, I think they have been around forever in some capacity, but I feel like in terms of like the deliberate marketing and how the covers are made and how they're being listed on all of the, reading and sales sites. I just feel like this is a new thing. When that movie came out was around the time I started as a reader noticing comparable books on the shelf to The Lost City. I feel like it corresponded with The Lost City coming out, which again is potentially just total coincidence. But I know in other areas of entertainment, there's a lot of overlap. And so, it could be a coincidence or it could have been deliberate.
I think the popularity of The Lost City inspired book marketers to
Hmm.
create this adventure romance category that would be fresh and new for us, even though, like you said, there have been books forever that have romance books with adventure, romantic suspense. But now it's almost like it's emerged as, oh yeah, this is this new, oh, it's adventure romance, but it's been around. It's just a different name to make us think, oh, this is something new. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I don't disagree. I think, yeah, I think we're
it feels
just
deceitful. That being said, Libby, let the roundup begin.
all right. Giddy up, Liz. Here we go. The first one I picked, first of two, is Love and Other Conspiracies by Mallory Marlowe. This came out in August of this year from Berkeley. And this is Marlowe's debut. When I was looking online and doing my little due diligence research here, it was listed as a variety of things, namely paranormal, adventure, and rom com. And so the adventure marker is why it is here today, because the premise sounded cute. Again, like most things, the cover's charming, and that usually is all it takes for me to get a little interested. Um, so let me give you the general premise, including our favorite, a tagline.
I have to ask, how many paragraphs is this?
3 paragraphs.
Are they tight? Is it a tight three?
I would say 2.5, but the first two are kind of long.
Dear Lord. Okay, go ahead.
The hardest thing for a paranormal conspiracy theorist and a web series producer to believe in is finding love in this swoony debut romantic comedy. Hallie Barrett's life has imploded after she's dumped by her hotshot ex, who happens to be her coworker and the star of the online series she was producing. And I will have a caveat moment here. I feel like, and I'm not complaining because I keep reading these things. I feel like the catalyst for a lot of books now, I'd say 75% is they were dumped and then. I just am going to say that. And I'm not saying that this is unique to this book. It's just I've noticed lately that the descriptions are like person A was dumped, moving on. You know what I mean?
Oh, I 1,000% know what you mean.
Okay.
To the
Yeah.
point where if an X is mentioned in the first couple of sentences, I kind of like cringe a little because I'm like, here we go again. And I actually have issues with that being the catalyst for a romance, is having a super bad, ridiculously bad breakup, which is like usually over the top.
So we've established that poor Hallie has been dumped and was working with her ex. So without a new show to present for the company competition, she'll be out of a job. But inspiration can come from the strangest places, like the most handsome guy she's ever seen passionately discussing Bigfoot on a late night docuseries. Hayden Hargrove made a name for himself as a cryptid expert on his hit podcast and is intrigued by the plucky, blue haired producer who offers him the opportunity to lead his own web show. When the production team sees that Hayden's solo on screen presence is bad enough to make a ghost Blanche, love that description, Hallie jumps on camera too, hitting him and his cryptids with a healthy dose of skepticism and enough chemistry to electrify their show to the top of the competition. As Hayden and Hallie investigate the unknown, they unearth feelings for each other that shake their beliefs to the core. In their search for the Mothman, aliens, and the truth, and the most elusive discovery after all might be learning to love again. So I definitely, for 2025, one of my reading goals will be reading more out of my comfort zone, which in this case would include a paranormal slash adventure romance. The thing that was intriguing is obviously, yes, it does start with someone getting broken up with, but the premise in general seems a little bit different. It seems quirky in a fun way. And it seems like, and again, I haven't read it yet. To me, it almost seems paranormal light. Like it seems like because it does say it's a rom-com, this isn't going to be, not that all paranormal romances are heavy, but you know what I mean. Sometimes
Right.
they're kind of maudlin depending on what the theme is. So I feel like this seems promising as a humorous adventure paranormal read.
Right. You know, I mean, you can explore all the different subgenres and categories within paranormal romance for years because there's so many different feels. Like there should be like light paranormal romance, heavy paranormal romance.
Yes.
I mean, but that would drive us all crazy. But
Yeah.
but I guess that's why they use tropes too to kind of indicate the vibe and whatnot. But anyway, I digress.
So I am cautiously optimistic, and I will report back in 2025 with my thoughts on Love and Other Conspiracies by Mallory Marlowe. What do you have for us this evening?
Well, Libby, I have my eye on Romancing Miss Stone, an adventure rom-com by MC Vaughn, published this year, 2024, by Harlequin imprint Afterglow Books.
This is their new imprint that you talked about on a previous episode, isn't it?
It is indeed. And they seem to have books regularly releasing. And again, not to sound lazy, but I've noticed that Afterglow has been publishing books that are of a lesser page count.
Yes.
So they seem to be 300 or less. So I do like that.
No argument here. I mean, we talked about that a lot this year. It's life is short and our TBR lists are long. So
yes.
Therefore, books under 300 pages really get the job done, literally and figuratively.
Yes, absolutely. Here's the book description. Just when Bo Ferguson has his future planned, his archaeologist fiance dumps him via text from Belize. Bo decides to win her back by stepping outside of his comfort zone and navigating the rainforests of Belize. I didn't even realize Belize was known for rainforests, but
yeah, I always think of it as like beachy.
Yeah, I guess I'm woefully ignorant on geography.
Same. I'm not a geography person.
Yeah. I'm not a numbers person either. I'm not much of a person.
Well, that seems harsh.
Fortunately, Bo has secured a tour guide willing to lead him into the unmapped jungle, but she's annoying, impulsive, and attractive as hell. Jungle expert Alexandra Stone is in no position to turn down a job after her ex stole everything from her family business. Bo might be frustratingly uptight, but Alex needs the money. And besides, there's something fun about pushing the guy's adorably rigid buttons. Now, here's the thing.
Sorry.
Yeah, I know, right? Like, it sounds like a double entendre. There's something fun about pushing the guy's adorably rigid buttons, aka his dick.
What?
Yeah.
His dick buttons, especially when it clearly gets a rise out of him. So, I mean, this is all sexual,
innuendo to the extreme. And my 5th grade brain is apparently can't handle it.
Yeah, his rigid buttons. That should be, oh my God, the next euphemism for what? A man's dick? His balls? Buttons. His rigid button. Well, that wouldn't be rigid. Anyway.
No. Sounds like he needs to see a doctor.
Like maybe his rigid buttons and his spools of thread would be his dick and his balls. All right, I don't know. Back on track. But the close confines of their shared camp make it hard to ignore the tension beneath the bickering, prompting the sweltering heat between them to erupt into sweaty, wild passion. I know this is really descriptive.
This is the back of the book?
Let's see, where was I? Okay. Bo can't deny his brief time with Alex has been the most exciting of his life. But the journey they're on still leads to one place, his ex-fiancée, forcing Bo and Alex to confront their past, their fears, and the question of just where this adventure will take them. So yeah, I thought it sounded interesting.
No, it definitely sounds... It certainly sounds sexy.
It definitely sounds sexy. I like that the female protagonist is the one who knows the jungle, is the person in charge.
Yes.
So I like that. The cover is a really cute illustrated cover where the main characters are on a motorbike speeding through the jungle.
Kind of fun.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm on board. You had me at motorbike and all the sexual innuendo.
Yes. And I think it's even described as a retelling of Romancing the Stone.
I would hope so with that title, because that's the first thing that popped into my head. So
yeah. So I'm looking forward to reading MC Vaughn's Romancing Miss Stone, and I hope to read it soon and report back post haste. All right, Libby, what else do you have?
Well, speaking of movie titles that have tie-ins to book titles, my last adventure pick of this episode is Temple of Swoon by Joe Segura.
It's a great title.
Yes, and the cover is just as eye-catching as her first one. This one comes out January 7th of next year from Berkeley. And needless to say, it's an adventure romance. The thing that I'm curious about is if there's going to be things in common with Temple of Doom, because I feel like Raiders of the Lost Heart had a couple moments that were very comparable to Indiana Jones's first movie. So, because I'm a huge Indiana Jones fan, I'm hoping that there will be something. Although, in fairness, if I had to pick my favorite of the two movies, Raiders is my favorite over Temple of Doom. Anywho, so let me go over the general premise. While her mentor may be the world's most badass archaeologist, the only thing bad about Dr. Miriam Jacobs are her corny jokes. But when Miri is charged with leading an unmapped expedition through the Amazon for the fabled lost city of the moon, she finally has her chance to prove to her colleagues that she's capable, and hopefully she can prove it to herself as well. Journalist Raphael Monfils has joined the archaeological team to chronicle their search for the lost city, or at least that's what they think he's doing. His real goal? To make sure the team does not reach the city of the moon, stopping the desecration of a holy city and protecting his mother's legacy. All he needs to do is keep them on the wrong path. If only the endearingly quirky Dr. Jacobs wasn't so damn tenacious. And I guess he goes by Rafa. All of a sudden now he's called Rafa. That's new. I'll just keep going.
So now we're getting his nicknames.
Yes.
Why are we getting nicknames now?
Each of Raphael's tricks and purposefully wrong turns only seem to fuel her determination. Even worse, he's charmed by her goofy attempts to channel Laura Croft as they traverse the dangerous Brazilian rainforest. But they're not the only crew hunting for the lost city, and soon the untamed jungle and their untamed hearts might be the least of their worries. So the description, obviously verbose, but it definitely sounds intriguing. And I'm not sure because I don't remember seeing it linked as a series, but I'm wondering if we're going to see characters in common from Raiders of the Lost Heart. I'm not 100% sure on that.
I'm going to venture to say yes, because there were a lot of characters.
Yes.
Like she had an assistant or
Yes,
something.
they both had like assistants, and then there were like colleagues and random people that I remember showing up at like the end at the end museum scene. It's been a while since we read the first one, so, and life has happened. So I'm really excited to read it because I enjoyed her first one so much. Again, serious Indiana Jones vibes. That's one of my favorite franchises. I just feel like the steam factor, the tension, the mystery, the intrigue. I am on board to read Temple of Swoon by Joe Segura, coming out next January from Berkeley. So, Liz, where are we going next?
I have my eye on an adventure romance set during the holidays. It actually strays from what I consider to be adventure romance. Mentioned earlier, I would consider this romantic suspense, and you could be the judge once I read the book description. But according to Amazon, it's action and adventure. So let's see. Although I guess it would, again, action and adventure. Action would be romantic suspense. Anyway, this is driving me crazy. Okay. So The Takedown by Carly Walker, published October 2023 by Berkeley, is on my to-be-read list. Here's what it's about. An undercover CIA agent is sent home for Christmas to investigate her sister's criminal fiancé, but the last thing she expects is to fall in love with his bodyguard along the way. I am not going to read the whole book description, which actually isn't very lengthy, but I believe that the blurb sums it up.
Well, and I'm already intrigued that this is not fueled by a breakup or something.
Right. It's not fueled by a breakup. And I love the whole bodyguard thing, even though this person is a CIA agent and doesn't need a bodyguard. I love that there's a bodyguard protagonist.
Oh yeah, no. Ever since what year did The Bodyguard come out? 92. Ever since then,
Yeah.
I've been like, yes, please.
So I'm really excited to read this. So the illustrated book cover is just of the main character, Sydney. So actually, at a glance, you wouldn't even realize it is a romance until you read what it's about, because it's called The Takeover, which sounds
That could be
very like,
anything.
yeah. I wonder if that's why it has flown under the radar, because I haven't heard much about this book.
No, and
And
when you said 23, I was a little surprised. Not that I know every book that's ever come out, but I feel like I'm on top of things.
right. No, I agree. Carly Walker has another adventure romance releasing in March 2025. The book is called Code Word Romance. Since 2023, now publishing an adventure romance in 2025, you've got romance in the title. The book cover is illustrated with the two romance protagonists. So it just illustrates too how different book marketing has become in just the last few years.
Which is crazy to see that much change in 18 months.
Yes, you have to have romance front and center, smacking you in the face,
Hmm.
because the time it takes you to like read the book description and figure out, oh, this is a romance, it's time and money lost in the
Yes.
book world, right? In from a sales perspective. So I find that interesting, but I'm glad that I did pay due diligence and found Carly Walker's The Takedown.
You've actually left me wanting more, Liz, and I think that is going to bump that one higher up on my TBR list. I love it.
And we have our guest, Kerry Rea. Libby and I are thrilled to welcome Kerry Rea, author of adventure rom-com The Jewel of the Isle, releasing on November 26, 2024 by Berkeley. The Jewel of the Isle received a starred review from Publishers Weekly, which called the novel the perfect mix of danger and delight. And fun fact, Libby, Kerry, and I are members of Reader Seeks Romance Book Club in Columbus, Ohio, and have been book clubbing together since 2022.
Has it been that long? That's crazy.
I
It
just
has.
like the thought of book clubbing. It sounds like more intense, like there's like techno music in the background.
I know. Yes. I thought it sounded actually cooler than we're in a book club. It's like, oh, we're book clubbing. Welcome, Kerry. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure.
A starred review from Publishers Weekly. How does that feel, Kerry?
Good. It's always great. Like, so I get an email. I got it in an email from it's like the publicist or something at Berkeley emailed me and said, hey, we got your Publishers Weekly review in. It starred. Nobody wants to bomb in Publishers Weekly, like at all, ever. You don't want to bomb, but something like that, like a trade review, those go on like all of the, I don't know, like if you go on Amazon or Goodreads, it's like one of the first things that you see under trade reviews. So it's always like really nice. I've read so many amazing books that I love that don't get starred, and then I've read some that are starred, and I'm like, this is interesting. So it's so subjective. It's just like a matter of taste and luck and all that, but I will take it. I was like, okay, this is proof that this isn't like the worst thing ever written, which is nice to know.
I guarantee it's not the worst thing ever written.
Yeah. Well, congratulations. I'm thrilled for you.
Seriously.
You go through phases where you're like, is this the best thing I've ever written? And then an hour later, is this the worst thing I've ever written, ever. So I don't know, but it feels good. I have no idea if it makes any difference in terms of sales or anything. I don't think it does, but it feels good for me. So I'm like, oh, great. Like someone liked it.
I think it will help sales. When I was a public librarian, we looked at that when we made decisions on books for certain genre fiction. So I think it'll help your library sales.
Well, that's right. Good. There's nothing I love more than libraries. So,
to kick it off, Kerry, can you tell all of our many listeners and viewers a little bit about The Jewel of the Isle and kind of get them excited?
Okay. So as Liz said, it is an adventure rom-com. It's about the two main characters are Emily Edwards, who is an ER physician. She is finishing her late dad's bucket list of things to do. And one thing he always wanted to do was visit all the national parks, starting with Isle Royale in Michigan, which is a very remote national park with wolves and moose and like no running water. So anyway, she decides she's going to go there and complete this bucket list for her dad. She is not outdoorsy in the slightest. So she decides she needs to hire an adventure guide to help her. She hires Ryder Fleet, but what Emily doesn't know is that the travel adventure agency that Ryder runs was actually like his brother's project. His brother has passed away and he's kind of taken over the reins on it, but he is not outdoorsy in the slightest. So anyway, they meet up on Isle Royale. They stumble upon a murder and end up in the possession of a rare diamond. And then they're somehow find themselves on the run from an archaeologist with really bad intention. So yeah, it's action packed. It's romance. It's everything I never thought I would write, but yeah.
Well, that actually leads me to my follow-up question.
Yeah.
What was your inspiration to write Emily and Ryder's story? Was there anything that kind of flipped in your mind?
I really loved The Lost City. I loved that movie with Sandra Bullock. And yeah, so that was one of my favorite movies I've seen in recent years. And I thought it'd be really fun to write something that had those fun vibes where nobody's really like the expert. They're kind of all just like, they're just a hot mess who are like, and both of them trying their best. So I thought that would be fun. But because we're all friends here, I will tell you guys, and you might already know this, that this book was not something I ever intended to write. I'm very glad that I did, but I initially sent my publisher like a totally different outline for a totally different story. And they said, thank you, but no thank you. We don't need this right now. But if you can take the wilderness element from this outline you've sent us and maybe make it more action-packed, we might be more interested in something like that. So I was like, oh, I don't know. Like, I'm not really like an action person, but I thought, well, let me like play around with this and see what I can do. And then I kind of got to like thinking about the plot and what would be fun. And I thought it'd be fun to have two like really not at all skilled people trying to like band together on this remote island and survive. Yeah. And then it kind of took off from there.
Was it challenging
Oh,
to do the
yeah.
rewrite? Like, was your process entirely having to shift, or just like the
Yeah.
beginning where you work on the story idea?
No, I mean, I had to like really start from scratch. So I first kind of was just like trying to hit all the normal like beats of a romance and then make it action packed. And are they in enough danger? Is this semi-realistic? How do I write an action scene? Because sometimes like if you're watching like Indiana Jones or something like that, or The Lost City, you can see it play out on the screen, right? The action is like so obvious when it's kind of, I think, difficult to kind of put that into the story, like how to describe like the physical action on the page without it being boring, and how do you incorporate a good balance of action and dialogue and like internal development. So no, I didn't think it was easy. Maybe for some people it comes naturally, but I worked my butt off. Not gonna.
Yes.
Well, and you earned a
did.
star review, so there you go.
Yeah. Did you at times, Kerry, kind of like act out things or use figures to like
I
place
did
around,
not live, but that is a great idea. I feel like that really would have helped, honestly, sometimes, because when there were times when my editor would like, send me feedback and she'd be like, well, actually, remember when this happened, they were on this side of the cliff, or like, oh, actually, no, that is not actually possible at all. So I should have done that. I should have got like some little, I don't know, figurines. I should have drawn something.
During a previous episode a couple months ago, we talked about book covers, and Jewel the Isle came up because I feel like, and I'm making this so because why not? Jewel tones, I feel, are coming back in style with book covers, and we both were obsessed with your book cover. How much say did you have over that?
Okay, so I would say like a moderate amount. So basically my editor came to me and said, here's like some ideas for the cover, just general like colors. I'm thinking this, and like maybe what kind of things we want to show, like something actiony, or like maybe a moose or a wolf or something that conveys like the wilderness aspect. And I would say, oh yeah, well, we should also include like a diamond or a jewel too. And so then they go to the art department and come back with some ideas and show it to me. And I have, if there's something I really hate, they listen. If there's something I really love, I feel like they listen. So it's kind of, the editor and I both put in our opinions. But yeah, I had a good amount, I would say, of saying it, and I really liked it. I'm trying to think of what changes we made. One thing was writers like hair and eyebrows were like a real situation that was hard to get right. We went back and forth about the eyebrows and the hair and Emily's hair color. So I love the cover. In the book, she's a brunette. In the cover, it looks more red, just the way it printed.
Yeah.
My son saw it and he goes, Mommy, Mommy.
Oh,
Which was very cute, but I was like, oh my God, people are gonna think I like wrote myself into this. Yeah, so anyway, but then we went back and forth about like the color of the jewel and the font and the text color and all of that stuff. But it was really fun. Yeah, and I don't think it took very long to get to a cover everyone was happy with. I think we only did like two rounds maybe.
oh wow, that's not bad at all.
No, but I'm also not like, sometimes I feel like I'm also like, yeah, whatever you think is best. Like, I think it looks great. It's like, okay.
Do you get any say in the narrators for the audiobook? Because
Yeah.
I've noticed that a particular, who I'm about to gush about, narrator, Andrew Iden,
Mhm.
I didn't realize he's basically been narrator of half the audiobooks I've listened to this year. He
Yeah.
is one of your narrators, and I
Yeah.
didn't know if you got a say in that because I love his voice.
So the producer of the audiobook emailed me and said, hey, what do you think about Emily Lawrence narrating the book? She's not narrated my other two books, and I love her.
And she's lovely too. She just doesn't have the same, of Andrew for me.
I thought, yeah, no, yeah, but I thought, oh, that's great. And then I forgot that my book was dual point of view. Like they didn't mention anything about the male narrator to me, and I honest to God didn't think to ask because this is my first one writing in like, the male and female perspective. So then I was like, oh yeah. So then anyway, I found out about a week ago that he was narrating it too, which I didn't have any say, and I'm pleased as punch, but no,
Yeah.
I didn't think to even ask, and no one brought it up to me. So yeah, but I was really excited about it.
I'm wondering about the heat level. Also, your sex to suspense and adventure ratio.
Yeah,
Yeah, because it's like they're on the run.
they're on the run.
How do you create sexy times? Like in a cave?
Is there one tent?
There is a scene in a cave. It's not a spicy scene, but it's like, there's vibes happening.
Okay.
There is a just one tent situation. Yeah. There is a radio tower situation where they have to hide out in like a radio tower that's abandoned. Yeah. I would say I think it's a good balance of action and spice. It's kind of hard sometimes because you have to think logistically, be like, okay, how would they be smelling right now? Like, how do I make them smell better so that this would be fun? You know what I mean? So not something you would normally have to think about when you're not writing like an adventure romance, but I tried to mitigate that. There's like a water scene, there's a pond scene to try to, freshen that up a little bit. But it's open door with like 2 steamy scenes. So I don't know how you want to rank that. It's not like super spicy, but it's moderately spicy, I'd say. Yeah.
Ooh.
Is there dirty talk?
A little bit. Well, it depends on how, like, what your definition, like your dirty scale, what that is. But I would say I would consider it a little bit of dirty. Like, he talks her through it.
Oh, and that means Andrew Iden's going to be talking her through
Yeah.
it.
I don't want it to be dirty talk because then I'll be hearing it coming from your mouth.
Isn't that
that's true.
Isn't that an absolute nightmare? Yeah. That's like, oh, yeah. That's like whenever I have family or friends that are like, excited about the book. I'm like, okay, well, just so you know, like, you can skip this chapter if you want, whatever. With like romance and stuff, it's like people always like, I don't know, project the author into, especially when they know you. But like if I was writing a murder book, people wouldn't think I was a murderer. Or I don't know, maybe they would. I don't know. So
that's true. I've never thought about it like that, but you're right. We wouldn't well, maybe Stephen King. He seems like he could do it. But in general, I don't think that.
Right.
Not to put you on the spot. Are you working on something new or not quite yet?
I finally am.
Yay.
I think I told you guys I needed like a serious break after I wrote The Jewel of the Isle. It was just, for me, it was a long process. I think because it was an adventure rom-com and I'm not an adventurous person, I really had to get outside of my comfort zone. And my daughter had just been born and I had a toddler. I was so tired like all the time. So I just needed to I don't know, I guess time to like refill my creative well. And I feel like I've had some of that a little bit. So now I'm working on a romance. It's a rom-com, but it has spooky vibes. So
Ooh.
yeah, so that's
Oh, I
all.
like it.
I got very into it around like Halloween, and so we'll see. Hopefully something comes of it. But right now I'm just kind of in the phase where I have ideas and I'm plotting and planning and writing little snippets. So that's the fun part for me before like all the work really starts.
Yeah.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. It feels good to be like excited about it too. Like,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
like I need to read things and just not for a while. So yeah.
That's awesome.
Do you have any romance book recs to share with our listeners and viewers?
Yeah, I actually do. And I usually feel like when I'm at this, my answer is no, because I have like, I'm at a time in my life where I have very little time to read. Like, I was trying to read yesterday, and my son came up to me and said, "No, that's my book." And he took it and he flung it across the room for like no reason, because he's 3. It wasn't him, it was my book, but whatever. I'm in that stage of life. So I used to have like be able to rattle off a ton of recommendations. Now I'm lucky if I have a few. But right now I am reading Love and Other Conspiracies by Mallory Marlowe.
I'm not kidding, and this is totally organic. I literally just said right before you came on, that's the book I want to read next. Because you're talking about like adventurous books. That's
Yeah.
hysterical.
That is so creepy. I got chills.
Yeah, I swear to God, we did not talk about this ahead of time.
No. Now I'm only like, I would say a third of the way in. So, I mean, I haven't finished it or anything, but I'm really enjoying it. It's very interesting. It's, the main character is a producer, and she needs to come up with like a really interesting web series as part of her job. And she finds this guy who is like, into like a Bigfoot tracking and all of this stuff, which is not something I would ever like. Normally a Bigfoot aficionado would be like a real red flag for me. I'd be like, this is as it should, sort of, maybe. But he's like super interesting. The way she writes it is just like, I don't know, so fun, so captivating. You just like really root for the characters. Yeah, so far I'm really enjoying it.
Okay,
And
good.
next, I want to read a book that I got halfway through a few years ago, but I never finished. It's Royal Holiday. It's a Jasmine Guillory book. Have you guys read this one? Okay.
Is that the one with the mom of one of the characters from the other book?
Yeah. There's like a fashion designer, or like from one of her other books. I forget the character's name, but her mother, anyway, the fashion designer, she's like a stylist or whatever, goes to England because she's going to like outfit basically like a Meghan Markle like character. Yes. And then the main character, her mom is actually the main character, but the stylist mom goes with her and ends up meeting a gentleman of her own there who like works for the royal family. And I really liked it because it was the characters are in their 50s or their
I think they're in their 50s.
Yes.
I really enjoyed, because at least I don't read many books at all like that, and I'm out of the phase now where I don't need to read about 24-year-olds. I mean, more power to them. I'm not saying there aren't good books that like great, I'll read them now and then, but it's interesting to read stories of women with different experiences that like a little older, whatever. Like, I love it. So I only got halfway through, not because I didn't like it, just because I think I had got it from the library and I had to return it, and they like called me a bunch of times probably. I need to just buy it, but I'm excited to read that next. So that's what I've got right now.
Thank you so much for stopping by, Kerry.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, we love you, and we already love The Jewel of the Isle.
That's so sweet. You haven't read it yet.
Yeah. But rest assured, when we do, we're going to love it.
Thank you again, Kerry, for joining us. And we look forward to book clubbing with you next month.
The best kind of club there is.
And that's our roundup. Watch Romance Roundup on Reader Seeks Romance channel and subscribe on YouTube. Listen to Romance Roundup on PodBean and all podcast apps. Thanks for joining us, romance readers.
Happy reading, everyone.